Hi, this is Jason Rivas with your HR update. As the head of human resources for CharTec and our master MSP ARC technology, I'm getting a lot of feedback and a lot of questions about very big topics, and that's what we're going to bring to you. One of the big topics, which is essentially how to collaborate with your virtual workforce, your virtual employees. So let's start at the beginning. First thing to think about is that as we dovetail into more virtual engagements, and most of you are working virtually, a big question is, how do I really drive the point home when it comes to projects and deadlines? Well, the first thing to think about is to set clear expectations. Make sure that the team in and of itself that's being driven towards a goal knows the rules of the road. When something is expected, what are the milestones en route to that destination? But then drill that down a step farther. Drill that down into an individual level. Set clear expectations with the team members. You're going to be doing this. You're going to be doing this. Will you commit to this? Use committed speech patterns in getting people to walk through the pathway of expectation, because when they do that, we have a higher probability in getting people to meet us at the goal line. Now, setting clear expectations is the first thing. Second thing is you have to have a virtual huddle. Now, the huddle, I wish we were a better way to describe that, but there's no better way to put that word out there. But a virtual huddle is imperative to ensuring that everybody knows what's going on, knows what the play is, and knows how to hit the field. That's really what a huddle is. A huddle was really just this ability to get all players together that are focused on the sum total of getting to a goal. This is the play we're playing, and you'll see it in American football. And what happens is all the players are aware of how they individually collaborate and how they all own a piece of the success pattern of the play. And the coach drives them to the point. Now with that, these virtual huddles are imperative. Have them by video. Get away from having just phone calls. And the reason why is because if you're on a phone call, you can tune out real quick. You have to have that video connection. When you can see somebody's face and you can see how they're responding to it, you can tell whether you've just pushed their hair back, blown their hair back, or whether you've actually hit a target with them. So make sure you keep these huddles to about 10 minutes. These don't need to be an evangelistic kind of conversation. It doesn't need to be something preach-worthy. It's just, here's the information, here's the players of the play, this is what your responsibilities are. Do you each commit to doing this? Great. All right, let's go out in the field, and they get it done for the day. Now, video huddles work great at the beginning of the day, but in virtual environments like this, don't be afraid of having a video wrap-up at the end of the day, so a wrap-up huddle at the end of the day, so people feel like they've accomplished, or they can start setting a tone for what to expect the next morning. Now, the next thing is that you have to find tools or utilities that are going to give you a strong yield. There's a lot of collaboration tools out there. One thing we use incredibly high here at CharTec and ARC is Teams. We have found ways to use Teams in different ways. It's collaborative, it's straightforward, we have tools inside of the platform. We also have team members who are using it in dynamic ways of touching base after work. They have Teams meetups where they can talk about things. We actually had a few team members that got together and had a Teams meeting while watching a movie, and they all had this constant dialogue, so they made like a virtual theater or a virtual peanut gallery. And see, that's where all of this starts to take a different use and start to have this new trajectory. When people feel like the tools they're using actually work, they'll start using it in different ways. So you have to get out of the text and phone calls, get into video chats. You'll be able to get a lot more information from that. So the next thing to think about is the degrees of trust. You have to be being able to connect trust on a different level. You see, the words "I trust you" really fall flat. What people best receive is how you express that trust. I know you'll take care of this. You've never let me down in the past. I know you can knock this out. When you actually express how trust is personified in a relationship, you have the way of expressing it. Think of it like this. If you have a teenager, and a teenager wants, take the crowd on a Friday night, and in the back of your head you're sitting there going, oh man, it's gonna go wrong, he's gonna get in an accident. But what do you tell? You know what? I know you'll handle it. Just remember that you're accountable for everything that happens. Just tell me how it goes. Check in when you come in. And it's your way of telling your teenager, I'm aware of what's going on. I'm going to give you just a little bit of latitude to take this to your goal line, but I'm going to check in with you. Because the one thing about expressing trust, it's not an open check. When we express how we feel about trust and how we're being trustworthy with individuals, it's not an open check. Instead, it's a little bit of latitude. It's a graceful latitude that allows a person to say, I've earned this, I'm going to use it. So it's like a currency. So if you can find ways to express trust with your team members, you'll have a stronger collaboration because people will only work with one another if they feel that they have a sense of trust. That trust is a huge connectivity between individuals in the workplace. Last thing is the perspective of learning. Understandably, we're going through some pretty weird times right now. And the one thing we can say is, how do we want to perceive what's happening with us? How do we want to perceive these events? How do we want to perceive how these things are changing, how we're working? Employers who set the expectation or the perspective that we're going to get through this and we're going to evolve. We're challenging our techs and our engineers to take certifications. It's a great time to do this. We're challenging our engineers to redefine our processes, making sure they're right where they need to be. Our sales team is continually educating. And the funny thing is, even my marketing team is developing new methods during this time where we don't have downtime. We're still very busy, but we're choosing to look at this as an opportunity to take what we have and to make something positive out of it. Now, I'm not saying you need to preach positivity to your team. They're going to see through that pretty quickly. Instead, what you do is you simply set the perspective of, we want to know how we get through this with education. How do we become better at the end of it? So it's never too early to start talking about the dialogue of how we recover from this, how we come out of this, because it's going to allow people to focus on the end result, not on the weirdness of the day. Now, we've talked about some neat things here. 5 different things to collaborate with virtual workers. Set your expectations, have the virtual huddle, making sure you have tools and utilities that make sense for you, express that trust, and making sure that you have a perspective of learning. If you can do these things, you're very much more prepared to have a strong collaboration with your virtual workers.